All right, so your Hayward Navigator is not working properly. Today we're going to show you guys how to troubleshoot that. I've already been messing around with it a little bit, but I thought I'd go ahead and hit record. So this thing is currently like struggling. Like it will not clean the pool. It barely moves. As you can see, the pool is kind of green. The first things first is to check the gauge on the DE filter. If you have a DE filter, usually this is the need to check. If it's running slow, this is going to be your thing that you check. This DE filter, there's a pressure gauge on top. If it's running over about 30 PSI, then that's your issue. You're gonna have to run that through a backwash system and basically just flush it out 2 or 3 times and then fill it in with some DE filter powder. But if your Navigator is still not working after that, then it can be a couple of things. I'm gonna go ahead and get this apart so you guys can see what's up. But the first thing to check is your hoses. These hoses are fine. I've already replaced a few of them, but a quick way to tell is if it's plugged into the wall, you can kind of lift it just above the water level and you'll start to hear it to suck air. If it's sucking air, that means no bueno. You can also look for cracks as well, but it's no bueno because it gets rid of the suction at the bottom of the Navigator. You need maximum suction down at that thing, or at the Navigator piece, because when you have, if you have less suction at the Navigator, it's not allowing the turbines to spin, which also allow the feet to move. So the faster your turbines spin, the faster the feet move, and it does its cleaning thing. So this one probably would be a little bit of a concern, but it isn't sucking air, so it's fine. So now we're gonna go to the Navigator. For the most part, these are pretty simple. Nothing crazy on them. I would say if you get a brand new one, you probably got about 3 years before you have to replace anything, maybe 2 years. But this one's gonna be the feet on this one. So the first thing to check are going to be these springs. These springs are pretty good. I already took this foot out, but I just thought I'd go ahead and hit record. But the feet, I noticed as it was going against the wall, it started doing extremely well. So that tells me that the feet are getting a little bit stumpy. So if we compare the feet to a newer foot or a foot against another foot, you can tell here that it's big time worn out. So this is a new foot and this is one of the bad feet. You can see like it's got maximum wear. So the reason why it's able to pick up on the sides is as soon as it hits the sidewall, this section that's worn down right here, it allows it to go ahead and take off and do its thing. You can also rotate these around, kind of like rotating your tires. You do the same thing on the Navigator, but I've already rotated this. Actually, I guess I could get one more rotation in this. So you can simply just flip these around on the other side. And as you can see, the other ones are kind of worn out as well. But I want to go through the other stuff before I switch those out. The next thing to check is going to be your turbine inside this. You want to take this apart. I'll show you what it looks like. I hadn't took out the screws, but this just comes right out. You unscrew this piece, pull this slot out. Yeah, obviously you want to clean this garbage out, like hair and junk. You don't want that in there. And then the feet will come right out after you unscrewed them. There's 4 screws. There's 2 down in there, and then there's 1 here and 1 here. But that just comes right out. My turbine is fine. I just replaced the bearings, not turbine, but there's bearings right here and right here. These are fine. You can just tell by how this thing is spinning. You can also tell this turbine is okay because it's still locked into place. I'll show you what that looks like in the inside as well. And then obviously you have like a little, it's not a timer box, but it's a little square. I'll show you what it looks like. It's just a little box that allows this thing to rotate. Mine wasn't having any problems rotating, so I know that's not the issue with it. I'm pretty sure on this one, it's gonna be my feet because it goes extremely fast once it gets across the walls. So that's just telling me you need to rotate your tires. All right, so this is the little spinner thing. This doohickey is okay. It's doing its thing, but this is the box there goes the screws. Let's get these down. But this is the box thing I was talking about. This thing is rotating properly. You need to make sure you have that little gasket that I lost. So I'll have to go find that, but there's a little white gasket that fits right inside that. You want to make sure you have that. Don't lose that, because that is an important piece that you will need. And there she is. So we'll put that gasket right into place. And then you put this piece right on top. And then we'll go ahead and put that down in there. But this allows the Navigator to rotate. It's fine right there. And then we'll place it back on top and put the screws in. But I want to show you guys the wheel barrel or bearings, whatever. You can see here, this is fine. There's no issues with this. This is what you want to see. It's rotating sufficiently. It's good. I just replaced these bearings, and this little piece right here is okay. But since I already have this apart, I'm still going to clean out these bearings. Just run some water through it just to get kind of the sand and debris out. But that's really it on the Navigator. There's not a lot of moving parts. Again, your biggest things you want to look for are going to be your hose, your bearings. Obviously is going to be one to check. I would check these like every 3 years. It's got a little bit of sand and debris in it. Your feet, these ones are big ones to check. These ones, springy action is good. They're going back into place. And these are also ones to check as well. These bearings are okay, but again, I'm going to go ahead and clean these out. You can actually get all these different parts on Amazon or from, sometimes Pinch a Penny carries all of them, but for the most part, you can get them on Amazon. Kind of like the guts of the system. This is how you can check the guts. The guts are okay, the bearings are good, we're solid on that. Now, the last thing I guess you could check on the suction is going to be with these plates. I don't know what these are called exactly, but this is also a sign of wear and tear from the feet, especially when this is running on the bottom. That tells me I need to replace my feet. But this allows the suction to complete in order for this, or for the suction to actually pull through and spin those bearings. If you have a hole through this, it's not going to complete that suction. It's basically going to leak, and your Navigator isn't going to run sufficiently. So if the feet are too short, all these pieces are going to drag, and it's going to make it slow. And if there are holes in this, or if these flaps aren't fully seated down, which usually these holes just wear out on the side, then that means your Navigator isn't going to get proper suction. So again, we'll recap. You want to make sure the bearings are good. So you check these bearings and the bearings here. Both of these are good. You check the flaps. You can do the side flaps. Make sure these are getting proper closage, I guess you can say. And one way to check this is the wear on the sides, and then making sure these holes aren't completely worn out, and then making sure you have no holes on this. Next, you want to check your feet, which these springs, they're bounced back properly, which is good. That's what we want to see. This one could probably use a little bit of work, but it's not too bad overall. And you also want to check the feet. Like, once these feet, they do wear out, again, this is going to be an issue with suction. Eventually, this will need to be replaced, but for now, I can probably get away with this. And then the last thing you want to check if your thing is not spinning properly is going to have to do with this. And if it's not getting full suction, the first two things you check before we even get into all this is going to be with your hoses and your DE filter or your filtration system. Make sure that is cleaned out. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the vid, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So we ended up replacing the shoes. Our shoes are done, and we ended up having to clean out the filter. So the shoes, they did need replaced, especially with all the wear and tear on these things. Shoes, they cost you like $6, $7 on Amazon. But at this point, our Navigator is running good. And over at the pool pump, we are good to go now after we cleaned out the DE filter. But you can see it's running a lot more smoothly.